Thanks very much for coming out and joining us today at the third U.S. PIAAC Research Conference. So as a representative of the American Institutes for Research, I'm very pleased to welcome you to the conference today. We're very proud to be able to support this conference again. And I'm personally honored to have the opportunity to share a few brief remarks before I introduce Peggy. So I was privileged to be the commissioner of NCES during the collection and release of the first PIAAC back in October 13. And actually, I was thinking about that on the ride over today. I don't know, some of us remember this very well. So with the staff at NCES, the assessment staff, we had practiced for weeks and weeks, probably months, to release these data. After, the release is not the important part. The collection, analysis, there's a lot of other things that had to happen first. But it was a new collection. It was really ambitious, as you all know, in terms of the design. And Erwin and the ETS team did a fantastic job on the design. And so we were extremely excited to be releasing these data. We decided we were going to do it a new way with, instead of the traditional thing where I stood up and did a ton of slides and kind of bored everybody to death until they were desperate to get out of the room. We designed almost like a TED Talk, like sort of dynamic data release. And then we practiced it until it looked almost as smooth as a TED Talk. And so we're all ready we're going to do it in New York, right? It was going to be part of this big Education Nation NBC special. Got the staff ready to go, and then the government shut down. And so everybody had to go home. They weren't allowed to work. I was the only person in the office for 16 days. And I got to watch it as the secretary released the data on TV with none of the things that we prepared all the way. And so I'm looking forward to the next one, which is a few years out still, but I'm confident that we will take all that preparation time that you guys put into that and deliver exactly what we had always intended this to be. So. Anyway, so that October came and went, but the data, despite the overwhelming attention on the government shutdown, actually did get a great deal of attention in the media, and we were able to go and do several follow-on presentations on places like C-SPAN to talk about PIAAC. So we knew when we collected these data, and we knew when we released them that gathering data on the skills levels of U.S. adults and how adults fare internationally was worthwhile and would get a lot of attention. We needed the PIAAC data so that employers, policymakers, and practitioners could make informed decisions on how to train adults and prepare for 21st century workplace learning needs, as well as help provide additional measures to determine if our education system is preparing our students to be college and career ready. What we didn't know, we were a lot less certain about how researchers and practitioners would embrace PIAAC in what we thought to be a really rich data source. I'm very happy to say, though, that since the release, PIAAC data have been used in hundreds of research studies, as many authored by people in this room, news articles, media coverage from C-SPAN, Washington Journal, actual TED Talks, methods research, policy debates, and research practice guides. As you all know, in addition to the core of PIAAC, NCES was committed to collect supplemental data to cover parts of the population which in the US we thought were vital to measure, but were not part of the original design of the population of OECD. So as you know, the original population definition were adults 16 to 60, as I recall, but we know that in the United States the workforce doesn't stop at 60. And also, particularly Dr. Carr, prevailed upon us to ensure that we would measure the incarcerated population as we had in previous adult learning assessments, but was not part of the original PIAAC design. And so NCES, and I'm very happy to see much of those data being used today in the papers presented today, was committed to collect those additional supplemental or ancillary samples. And as a result, we have a deeper understanding of our youngest and oldest adults, and we've collected new information to learn about the incarcerated population. Findings from analysis of PIAAC have been used to inform and create policy decisions, such as the reauthorization of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, and creating the Upskill initiative focused on empowering Americans with the education and training they need to develop new skills and earn higher wages. So as evidence today, with over 150 people gathered to continue learning from PIAAC, I'm confident that NCES invested well. And I've continued to follow the development of PIAAC with great enthusiasm, and I'm now very happy to be at AAR where we can contribute a little bit to that work. All right, so now for my real job I'm honored to introduce this morning's keynote speaker, Peggy Carr, someone whom I've known as a colleague and a friend, and I guess now also as a client. So Peggy is the Associate Commissioner of the Assessment Division at NCES, where she oversees the various national and international assessments that the United States conducts. These include PIAAC, the Program for International Student Assessment, PISA, and of course, the National Assessment for Educational Progress, NAEP. Peggy is a scholar, an expert in the area of statistical data collection, analysis, and reporting. During her tenure in the federal government, she's worked also as the Acting Commissioner of NCES, the Associate Commissioner of Assessment, and you may not know, was also Chief Statistician in the Office of Civil Rights. And through these positions, she's worked tirelessly to ensure that we have accurate measures of the status and progress of education. She's committed to using these measures to identify and rectify inequities of access and inequalities in education. And her dedication to that mission and her service to NCES and the federal government has been recognized through numerous awards for excellence in federal service. And also, if you've never seen the office, I'm not sure if it's in the new space, but there used to be a credenza with more trophies than I've ever seen. Like the sheer weight of her awards is staggering, literally staggering if you had to carry them. But it is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Peggy Carr.